Hello everybody, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have a couple of encounters with female entities, varying from sea encounters to encounters on land. I have a lot to talk about, folks, from encounters with a woman in black to this mermaid encounter we're about to read, folks. So let's get into the first article now. Professional scuba diver recalls Atlantic Ocean mermaid encounter, and hear how this mermaid threatened his life. So, let's get into this account now. Location date, several miles off the coast of Florida, Atlantic Ocean, 1988 afternoon. Very interesting, folks. He gives us the exact time and day and year this all happened, folks, and the location as well. Either way, let's get into the account. Professional scuba diver Robert Foster was diving alone looking for mysterious undersea formations when he noticed a disturbance in the water. When he turned to look, he saw a vague, shadowy figure slashing towards him. All around him, the water had begun to churn wildly, and clouds of sediment were swirling. So, whatever this was, folks, he probably thought it was maybe some enraged or basically hungry animal that was going to take a chomp out of him, folks. But let me make this clear to you. What he actually encountered is something he probably never actually thought existed or could possibly exist, because he encountered... If the title of this particular story didn't give it away, folks, he encountered a mermaid, and not just any mermaid. As we will read further, folks, he sees something really frightening, because the mermaid wasn't just, swimming towards him, and you're going to learn all about that as we read the rest of the story, folks, but you see that maybe mermaids, there's more to them. Either way, let's get back to the article. As the creature rushed towards him, it appeared to undulate rather than glide. When the fast-moving form got to within 20 yards of him, he noticed something odd about it. Appendages like arms seemed to be reaching out towards him, and the end of each arm appeared to be sharply taloned hands. He then saw the creature in full view. He saw an unmistakable pair of breasts, long flowing hair, smooth skin, and a scaled tail from the waist down. It appeared to be half woman, half fish. Foster said, "I've never seen such evil hate in the eyes of any human or animal before." Before the creature could reach him, Foster shot up towards the surface and was able to scamper over the side of his craft to safety. He never saw the creature again. Source: eyewitness account printed in Great Southern Mysteries and Albert S. Roselius. There's also a note, folks, so let's get into that too. There have been merman reports from various locations off the entire coast of Florida, including historical accounts by the Spanish explorers and Native American inhabitants. I talked to a Royal Caribbean cruise steward in 2004 who swears he witnessed a mermaid in the shallows off the island of Grand Bahama near Freeport. He described it as a 5-foot green-colored fish-like human with arms, large frightening eyes, and long red hair. So, even to this day, folks, people are still reporting seeing mermaids. In fact, I've heard mermaid accounts from everywhere. Not just in off the coast of Florida and the Caribbean, but also off, parts of Africa as well, folks. So, do you believe that these are actual genuine accounts? Do you think mermaids actually exist? Or are they perhaps something else entirely? Maybe some sort of shape-shifting entities? I think that there might be no difference. I do think mermaids exist as well, folks. Either way, let's get into the next article. Creepy, tall, black-eyed woman encountered in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and how this woman encountered one of the, black-eyed women, folks. Much like their counterparts, the men in black. So, let's get into this account now and hear exactly what and how this encounter affected the experiencer here, folks. I stopped dead in my tracks and my heart skipped a beat. She had what looked like solid black eyes. They were the normal shape and everything, a little smaller than mine, but I couldn't see any white at all. Just another brief excerpt from the actual story, folks. Let's get into the entirety of the story now and see exactly, as I said, what transpired. Hi, I'm a 31-year-old mom, wife, and I work at a theater in Tennessee. I actually drive an hour to work because I love living in Knoxville, but the theater I work at is a big tourist destination in Pigeon Forge. Anyway, this happened to me about 3 years ago at work because we have so many tourists. We have a timeshare booth that guests can visit. Annoying, I know. They have their own employees, and a lot of them rotate in and out or quit soon after because the job sucks. I was working the night shift, and we were about an hour away from seeing the show. I was a clerk at this time. I'm a manager now, and I was on my way back from a break. I approached the ticket counter to go into the staff entrance, and I noticed this super tall, super skinny woman was talking to my coworker. I'm 4'11", so a lot of people seem tall to me, but this lady had to be pushing 6 foot. I noticed that my coworker looked uncomfortable, so I stopped to see if everything was okay. I walked up to the window, and this lady immediately turned around to face me. I stopped dead in my tracks, and my heart skipped a beat. She had what looked like solid black eyes. They were the normal shape and everything, a little smaller than mine, but I couldn't see any white at all. It could be that this woman was wearing contact lenses, and this, other woman just mistook this woman for something entirely different, folks. I've seen such contact lenses, but they're kind of rare and stuff like that. At least I haven't basically come across anyone wearing them for a while now. But it could have been that, folks. But this woman, she really feels that this entity, and that this was exactly what this female entity was just that, something not like them. Either way, let's continue the article. I immediately understood why my friend seemed so uneasy. She had long black hair. She smiled at me and started talking. The look she gave me was a very predatory kind of like a shark. That's how it made me feel. Anyway, she said, "Whoa, you must have to be super attractive to work here because you are beautiful." Then she smiled at me some more, never looking away. I didn't know what to say to her, so I just excused myself and went to in the office. I felt very shaken, especially because she continued watching me until I was out of sight. I had just learned about black-eyed kids, but I had never heard of a black-eyed adult. I approached my friend and asked her if she had ever heard of the black-eyed kids. She said she had, but didn't say much else after that. I didn't see the woman for the rest of my shift. I got off work around 11 p.m., so the parking lot was clear other than a few random cars. When I left, it was dark, but there are several lights in the parking lot, so I don't usually get nervous going to my car alone. I couldn't believe what I saw when I got outside, however. There she was again, but this time she was with a group of her fellow employees, just gathered around a single car at the beginning of the lot. I passed them, and they all immediately looked at me. She was the only one with black eyes, but they were dead silent, and they all turned their heads together to watch me walk to my car, get in, and drive away. She never stopped smiling at me, and they never stopped looking at me until I turned onto the main road. I never saw them actually talk to each other. This experience has been on my mind ever since, and I don't know what to make of it. I haven't seen the woman since F. And I have to say, whatever this was, folks, it was not ordinary. I have to say that, especially with this group, folks, this makes and paints this woman as something to consider. Maybe this woman was some sort of, like some sort of insect queen, because the others basically were seemingly almost like drones around her. They didn't talk. They, along with the woman with black eyes, just looked at this experiencer as she entered her car and drove away, with the woman smiling all the time, as the experiencer said. This makes me think that maybe that they were all some sort of psychic vampires, because it really feels like they wanted fear out of the people that they were talking to, folks. They wanted them to feel uncomfortable and feel deep and strong emotions, because, that's the impression I get from the conversations that this woman had with the other employees as well as the experiencer. She wanted her to be afraid of her, and I think she was feeding on her, folks. But then again, is that exactly what happened, folks? I don't know. But like with the mermaid story, folks, both stories left the witness completely frightened with these female entities. All I can say, folks, is that these things, I believe, do exist. But why? If this was some sort of alien intrusion, perhaps, maybe this was an experiment. Or if these entities are some sort of psychic leeches or vampires, maybe those uncomfortable feelings and fear that they inspire in others is their way of feeding on us. But if they do exist, folks, why doesn't anyone actually, know about it? Why have no one, neither the common man nor the authorities, know anything about them? Is it because these entities are somehow able to literally blend in so well that no one actually believes that they exist? Maybe. Either way, folks, we're at the end of this video. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics, They're Bad For You. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so make sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.